Welcome to episode number 93 of the BEBC
BS
Podcast.
Abbreviated / amended / addendum version.
Oh, they say confession's good for the soul.
We love technology.
And so we're going to confess that yesterday we had 5 people here.
We did.
Plus
Skeletor.
And for unbeknownst reason, we had technology issues.
Oh, I know exactly what happened, but we're not going to talk about it.
We do know what happened, but we don't know why, because theoretically that shouldn't have happened.
Well, here's why it happened.
Shouldn't?
Because it interrupts. We had a power issue. The laptop wasn't plugged in. It started getting low battery, and of course it warns you, hey, your system is low battery.
Yes, it did.
Try this.
And it stops the read. It stops the read-write process to the SSD hard drive, even though it's not a hard drive. It's a anyway. And it shows like it's still going, but it's not writing to the hard drive.
Our software showed that we were still recording, and we did the whole podcast and got done. And at the point that we had it, we were actually at the 8-minute mark.
Then the captain behind the instruments went, little bright eyes.
Yeah, it's no fun when you get it. And so I had to go out of town yesterday, so we couldn't redo it right then. And so we're redoing it now. And here's what we're going to do, folks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this introduction.
Yeah.
We'll cut it off here in a minute, and we'll play the 8 minutes we had from yesterday. And we were all messed up yesterday anyways, because we said it was episode 92.
Yeah.
But you need to listen to that, because that was important, and we missed it last week. This is actually episode 93, so Vernon Green, defensive lineman.
Vernon.
Brother. That's right, number 93.
He's not 5'9", 180, is he?
He is not. He's 6'1".
92.
Awesome.
245.
92.
So
45.
93.
Well, for this episode.
This episode's 93.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll insert the other one where we talk about that.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that. We're going to insert the 8 minutes from yesterday, part of which was Coach Wigg's phone call, and we apologize for having to cut that
Messing that up.
Yeah, we did, but he had a lot of good things to say, and we want to talk a little bit about it, and we'll do that. So this will be a little choppy, it seems. I'll put some, melds in there so it won't seem so bad, and
Yeah.
we did it. You'll see 3 of us now. You'll see 5 of us in a minute.
Right.
And then you'll come back, and there'll be 3. So
Yep.
we'll see.
And we appreciate you watching, but suck it up, Buttercup,
Yeah.
because
We ain't perfect either. But
Exactly.
Episode number 92 of the BEBC
BS.
Podcast. Morning, fellas.
Howdy.
It is a good morning.
It
Good
is
morning,
a good
mein
morning.
Herr.
Absolutely.
Good
the
morning,
sun
mein
is just
Herr.
a little bit brighter this morning.
Yeah.
The Germans, we're holding the Germans at bay.
Yet.
A little bit of cheer in our step.
Not so much the Germans as Hitler.
That was the Russians and the Germans.
Randy
Since-
Bridges.
They are all the same people.
Randy Bridges is at work this morning.
What the heck is Randy Bridges doing at work?
Episode 92, guys.
Yeah.
This is a tough one.
It's a memorial.
It is a memorial.
Episode.
For those of you who don't know, and if you hadn't noticed, Alan does not use jersey number 92 any longer. And I'll let James explain the story here.
Yeah, so Travis Dickerson was a defensive end that played for Allen. And he and a teammate of his were driving along and ended up going a little too fast, maybe hydroplaned on some water. Ran into sideways into a tree, and Travis unfortunately was killed in that accident. And by all accounts, wonderful kid. Your daughter had class with him, and
Really
just
liked him.
a bright light,
Yeah.
taken out way too soon. So this episode is in honor of Travis Dickerson.
Exactly.
Does that mean it's going to be quality?
Let's hope
Today?
so. Let's hope so. We try.
It's going to be with sincerity, that's for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt.
All those in favor of winning instead of losing, raise your hand.
Yeah, exactly. For real.
Looks like it passed.
All right.
3-2. Ever.
Dave.
Sorry, I didn't
Ever.
vote.
I'm handcuffed.
You're not allowed to vote?
No zip ties.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
That's an old man.
Was that an old man thing? I got those all over the place.
Yeah.
For real.
Really?
All right. So last night,
What happened?
Progress.
there's a lot of things happening.
Great
last night.
things happened.
Progress
last night.
happened.
For those of you who listened last week, one of the things we ended the podcast with was how do you respond when the bully comes in your house, the bully bullies you, and you got another good team coming in next week. How do you respond? And if you read the chat boards, and again, it's a bunch of people like us just blowing hard, but a lot of people, and even I even give Tepper some love here from the perspective of he was calling for a CE King upset. Now,
He found religion.
I don't know if I didn't see if he predicted Allen to win or not, but I know during the game he said, well, so much for the CE King upset, at halftime. But there was a lot of people who thought this was going to be either one, a CE King victory, or two, a very close game.
Yep, I'm one of them.
Yeah. And, CE King went out last week and they beat a top 5A school, 63-7.
Wow.
Yeah, Crosby. And that game was actually, if y'all want to watch it, someone's condensed it down to 23 minutes on YouTube. They just took every play. So that gives you an idea of how much actual play time there is in a 3-hour game in a high school game.
Right.
So there you go. So I watched that this week, and their running back, that number 4, Keith Willis, he had over 200 yards last week. And
He got popped in the jaws last night.
you think?
He did.
Many times.
In fact,
And
they pulled him out of the game a few times too.
he,
He was getting too hot.
so you looked at it and you said, okay, this will be another good test. And how does I'm going to call it a young team, or how does your team respond? And if you watched the first series from Allen last night,
Here we go again.
I was like, oh no. I
It
turned to
was,
Cody
it
and
was
said,
a 3-and-out.
that was not good. It was a 3 and out, and it was a backwards 3 and out. That was the bigger issue to me. Was you had a big sack, a 10-yard sack, and then an incomplete pass. Hawkins got scrambled for 0 yards, and then
Well, of course, what you would expect an opposing team to do is
Yep.
bring the house.
And they brought 7.
Yeah.
They had 7 blitz.
they watched the film from last week.
Yeah.
It was quite clear
Obviously.
that they did. And we'll talk to Coach Wig here in about 2 minutes, and we'll get his take on this, because he's got to be feeling a little
What
bit.
does he know?
What does he know?
He knows a
We'll
lot.
find out what he knows, because
Yeah.
we're going to call him. And
Well,
he's
I
gonna-
know he's been to our tailgate now 2 games in a row,
That's right.
several times. So
Yeah.
that's great.
And I want to talk about tailgate a little bit, because I got some words of wisdom to pass along to people here that I think we should talk about.
Wow.
So after we talk to Coach, let's jump into tailgate
can't
before
wait
we
to hear
jump
this.
deep into the game.
So we're adding value.
We hope to be.
Okay.
I just think there's something from a community aspect that I want people to hear, because it was very interesting yesterday at our tailgate. Some of the observations that I made.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that as well. But it ended up being an Allen victory, 49-14, 42-0 at half. And the game was over at that point. I think we all agree. And I even put it out on the chat board last night. To me, after watching CE King from last week, if you stop the run, you're gonna beat them. Their passing game wasn't anything to be
Feared, for sure.
Yeah, and we ran into some of the young mistakes again that we'll talk about a little bit, and that's really the only way they ended up with any yardage was some long coverages.
We felt sorry for them, so we let them wide open two or three times.
They came all the way from Houston,
Yeah.
You got to give them a little bit of love.
Throw them a bone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him a call, Cody. See what the coach is see what his attitude is this morning. This ought to be fun.
Yeah, but
Turn it up all the way up.
oh, we need volume.
Who the crap's calling me this early in the morning?
Coach,
Hey!
Hey, Coach. Morning.
How are y'all?
we're great. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, just good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm watching film. Just good.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, There's some still things to work out, so we won't get too much into that. But congratulations on victory number 1 at Allen High School.
Oh, thank you guys very much. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah, we had a lot of fun too.
Yeah, it's been these kids and the coaches have been putting in double time for about 3 solid months. So I'm glad they got to experience that.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about last week on the podcast was, okay, you kind of got pushed around a little bit last week, and the question is, how do you respond? And so, obviously, just your take on how the kids responded last night.
Well, I thought they responded well, but I go back to last week, and I thought they did everything last week that they needed to do. I thought they competed every snap last week. Yes, we were playing a really, really good team, and we did some things, not very well at all. But none of it was tied to their effort or their fight. So when you see that, you say bounce back emotionally, maybe bounce back on the scoreboard. But a lot of times when people are talking about bouncing back, they're saying, hey, we didn't play. We didn't give maybe the effort that we wanted to give, but that certainly wasn't the case as you went through and watched the film and watched it live last week. So they just did more of that and just played a little bit cleaner this week. Definitely.
Okay,
showing
folks, we were back
some
just the
improvement,
3 of us, and
in a lot of
as
different
we got
areas.
cut off there, we were talking to Coach Wigg, and there were several things that we talked about with him. He had a lot of good things to say yesterday, and I apologize. I didn't want to call him back today. He's so gracious to give us his time on Saturday. But we talked about the effort of the team, and we talked specifically about the one play right after half. For those of you who live in Lucas.
Ignore it. It's a small little thing.
Yeah, it's getting a little loud here. But the one play right after the half where King completed the pass and the guy was on his way to the end zone, and Taylor Collins, number 18, chased him down, caught him at the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
And on the next play, there was a fumble recovered by Zeno Moselo, and that kept them out of the end zone for another. We talked about the
we'll
effort.
insert the highlights there. It paid off. The effort pays off.
Yeah, and he talked a little about that. Even last week, he said the kids did not play hard. They were playing hard.
Yeah.
They just weren't successful.
They never
in what
gave
they were
up.
trying to do. But that was really evident in that play yesterday because and he goes, we talk about that. We don't necessarily talk about the fumble recovery, but we talk about the play before, which
That's right.
led us to that opportunity. So I thought that was a really good point he brought up. We asked him about the 2-point conversion. His comment was, your goal is to outscore the opponent, and we'll line up, and if we see something that we think will work,
take the points.
take the points. And that's why there was a 2-point conversion. He said there wasn't anything specifically related to C.E. King. It's just their philosophy to take a look at how the defense lines up. And if they think they can expose that and get the extra point, they're going to do that. So they did that. We talked to him about who we considered our player of the game, Kavion Sibley.
Yep. He was not as interested in calling out individual players as much as the teamwork, but with 4 TDs, Kavion really stood out, and you could see the potential and just the speed and the break. Now, what he said was about Kavion, that he has that initial explosiveness,
right,
and vision.
Which when we show the highlights from Kavion, especially from our angle, from where we got to see several of those runs from behind, you'll see the vision and the moves he makes to avoid people was incredible. And that'll be pretty neat.
Go, 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 go!
There you go, there you go!
and Coach knew it, and he admitted it. But yeah, it was fun to talk about that. And our softball question of the day for him was, okay, Coach, if you were going to go travel anywhere, where would you go? And come to find out, Coach isn't a big traveler, other than going to the Texas High School Coaches Association meeting every summer. He said, but my wife...
where he doesn't like to travel, she takes care of the plans and the family and makes sure that everybody has a good adventure.
Good time. And so he did specifically mention Boston, how he loved it. They were up there, all the history and everything. So that was the phone call with him. And we'll pick up next week. Hopefully no technology issues. But we'll get back into now what our take on this game was. And we started out talking about how on the chat boards this week and all the pundits. Sorry it's so loud. That's a rain on the metal roof, brother.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can hear us through all that. Jeepers.
That's why I got my hat on.
Yeah. David's got his hail hat on just in case it comes.
Oh, hail.
We talked about how that everybody thought this was going to be a close game, or CE King was going to just
Possible upset. Yeah.
upset or take down Allen. And when you looked at state rankings, they were actually ranked ahead of Allen. So I don't know upset or not, but it certainly was on everybody's mind that this was a game that Allen could lose. The morning news did a big feature article about it this week, about Allen hadn't been 0-2 since, I think it was like 2004 or something. It was really a long time.
We're like, I added up the other day. We're like 183-14 before this season.
Yeah.
The last 13 seasons.
Hello.
That's
Yeah.
pretty dominating.
Yeah, totally. And to have 2 losses back-to-back to open the season, not the way you want to start out, especially with a new coaching staff. And, we need to bring up one very important point the coach said.
Yeah.
Very
Personnel.
important. Very, very important. You want to say it?
No,
I'll
go
let you
ahead.
say it.
Go ahead.
You sure? All right. We were talking to him about, the kids gaining confidence and gaining experience. And he goes, one thing you have to realize, he goes, out of all of the kids on the field that are playing varsity this year, only 10 of those kids had meaningful varsity snaps last year. 10. And you're like, whoa, back that train up. How many?
Yeah.
10. And so when you think about, and he said, they get wide-eyed. It's all new to them. They may have played JV or they, but when you get up with the big team, it's a whole different ballgame. And that shows the lack of experience in these games that the Eagles do have. Mm-hmm. And so every day that passes, or every game that passes, and the more people they can play, that will be beneficial for the team as we get closer to the end of the year, because now you've got more than 10 people who have played more meaningful snaps. But that's what they're dealing with right now. So they've got a lot of kids too that are just trying their darndest, to get their wits about them in a high pressure, high profile high school football program.
Yeah.
So that was eye opening to me, because I would have sworn it was more than that.
And even the negative experience that the kids had with the loss and all the plays that St. John Bosco made against us, that's experience. That's building up experiences that they can draw from.
Yeah.
And so they've got, this week they got twice as much experience as they had from last week, and so it really amplifies and goes exponential.
Yeah.
And should pay off.
It should. And, I think when you look at the performance this week, just compared to last week, you saw so many more positive plays than you did things that you're like, ooh. Now, that's not to say there still aren't some things they need to work on, and we'll talk about those.
Yeah.
Because no one's perfect every game, but, just for example, there were 4 turnovers last week. There were no turnovers this week.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge swing.
We actually went +2
Yeah,
on the turnover.
exactly.
Right.
And that'll flip a game in a heartbeat.
Yep.
You'll give somebody.
That's
and
right.
again, Bosco, give them kudos. They took advantage of every single turnover and scored off all of them. So you can't be giving those points away and making it easy. So that was a plus. But everybody thought this game was going to be, pretty tough. And the thing we talked about last week on the podcast was, how does the team respond?
Boy, did they.
Because those boys got punched pretty hard. I mean,
Yeah.
Allen hadn't gotten beaten like that. I told my daughter they got donkey stomped. She goes, "What? What does that mean?"
What?
I said they got donkey stomped, and it opened their eyes. And it told them, okay, we got some work to do. And so the question is, how do they respond? And, like Coach told us, he goes, they're working just as hard as they worked last week. This week, they're just gaining results this week.
Mm-hmm.
And you wondered after the first series.
I wondered too.
Yeah, where you
Yeah.
come out and you have, 0 yards rushing, you have a 10-yard sack, or something, and then you're faced. You're like, oh my gosh, this is reminiscent of what we saw last week, and you wonder, hey, is this going to be any different? And it was like, uh-oh, here we go again. But what happened this week, I think, and it really gave some confidence to the team, in my opinion, was when Allen punted, C.E. King gets the ball. And for those of you who don't know, C.E. King beat Crosby last week, 63-7. So it's not like they barely won. And again, it was a 5A school, but it was a top 10 5A school they were playing.
And that's what you would consider a dominating performance
that
on
was
their
a
part.
donkey stomp of their own, And so they were coming in here with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
They had a running back who ran for over 200 yards last week.
Dude, he's big.
He is a hoss.
Yeah, he is.
And
Clydesdale.
we'll insert the play where
He got
number
stood up.
18, number 18 went toe to toe with him, and
and-
bang.
Yeah, we
But
felt
it
the
slowed him down enough,
We
yeah.
felt the shake up in the stands, and it was loud.
It was a pop.
And I was worried for that kid when that happened.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I've already said his name once. Taylor Collins. He hit him. He lost his helmet, and he did go backwards a little bit, but he stood him, and he got right back in there. And I was like, great, no concussion. But that kind of, okay, we're here, we're going to smack you in the mouth. You got to get through us.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do it.
Yeah, they couldn't.
That's that super effort.
There's gang tackling. I mean, one person hit the player, and then everybody else ganged up on him. And it was absolutely awesome to watch that.
Kudos to Coach Branscombe and the defensive coaching staff, especially in the first half. At the end of the first half, King had 86 yards total offense, and 60 of those were passes. So that running game that was so effective the week before at 23 yards, you can't ask for any more.
Yeah.
And I had posted on the chat board this week, or at least had discussions with people about it, because I went back and watched their game against Crosby.
Mm-hmm.
And if you stop the run on this team, you're going to beat them.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. Anybody who can stop this team's running game, you're going to...
I'm thirsty.
Oh, you're thirsty? So say the storm isn't over
Maybe
yet,
somebody
David.
hit me so I can knock my helmet off.
Yeah. Good luck getting that off without ripping your ears off. Oh. So yeah, Allen scores first and makes it 7-0 on a touchdown, a great touchdown. Well, what was happening defensively from King was they watched the film last week.
Yeah.
And they were bringing the house every play.
7 players up
Stacking the
front.
box.
And so there's a couple ways to beat that. One is to trap somebody and break through the line, because if there's nobody, go throw quick passes.
Mhm.
And you started to see the quick passing game open up.
Well, and there were a couple times in looking at the film that our offense tried to get a screen together and couldn't really ever kind of get it organized, to where the blocker and the receiver, running back, et cetera, were able to get lined up. And
Well, what I saw happen was the 7 people that they were rushing were breaking through, and then you had your linebackers moving up, to cover that area below it. So they weren't getting a lot of yardage on that.
No, even if they could complete the pass, they had
Yeah.
a tough time completing
Right.
it.
Yeah.
That even started. I'd like to see that they've been able to do a little more. But they started showing they threw a quick out to Quentin Hammonds,
Yeah.
Quentin House Hammonds, excuse me, and he got around the corner on the guy, and it was off to the house, 34 yards, touchdown. That's when they went for two.
Yeah.
As our discussion with Coach was about it, and Allen's up 8-0. You're like, all right,
Good start.
positive, because you didn't do anything on your first drive. You're able to score with a short field on your second drive. And we talked about this yesterday. We'll bring it up again. It's been a long time since I've seen a kicking game as bad
Yeah.
as Kings.
Kings.
DeSoto
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about it.
back at Memorial Stadium.
Oh,
Yeah, in the
No,
street.
that was terrible.
It was.
Two punts he punted straight up in the air. Didn't
Oh,
cross the line of scrimmage. Or
Bless
something.
his heart.
Yep.
The poor kid. And it started. A lot of it started with the snap
Mm-hmm.
because he was either picking it up off the ground
Or
or
jumping for it.
it was bouncing to him or jumping on him. It was just poor kid just couldn't get a good snap, and he had one good punt that went over Caleb's head one time, but other
Yeah,
than
got a
that,
really good roll. Yeah.
it was adventurous every time they went back to punt. And I don't know, and I'm going to say this, and I don't know how big the kid was. I don't think I've ever seen a larger human being than number 78.
Right, in that group of three people that are intermediate
The up
distance to
blockers,
block.
man.
Yeah.
Holy moly. He was super big human being, in on the kick coverage team. So, Allen goes up. They hold him again. It's just over. Here we go over and over again as the defense just continues to step up. The defensive line was great, taking on the initial blocks, which opened up the linebackers. You heard a lot from, Aiden Graham and Drew King and Mitchell New and Taylor Collins coming up from safety. They were just all there, and they just shut that running game down.
Yeah, and then Mr. Hawkins put a powerful hit on one of their receivers on the sideline.
Dude,
Yeah.
that was right. I think James probably has that
And
video.
He launched from 5 yards out and just
Yeah.
knocked him flat.
You're talking about Malik.
Yes.
Yeah.
Malik.
Awesome.
Yep. Second touchdown run was the first of the night. The second touchdown was the first of the night for Kavion Sibling, and it came from 49 yards right
Yep.
up the center. And you could see when he broke through, there were like at least 4 guys, if not 5, kind of around him. You just waited for them to eat him up like an amoeba. But it didn't happen. He just outran them all. And you look up and go, wow, okay, 14-0.
Yeah.
And you got a defense that's playing really stout. You got an offense that's starting to gain its traction. And they didn't let up from there, especially Mr. Sibley.
Yeah. Well, that 14-0, I think that was the play where they had gone for the 2-point conversion again, but for the second time, C.E. King was offsides, but that one didn't get called, and they
Yep. They tackled him.
yeah, they called a holding on us and penalty decline, no extra point. So
Yep.
it's good they went for it the first time because it kept it on even par,
A
for
lot of
14-0.
penalties. Lots of penalties.
Yeah, they had, I think, 13 penalties on the night.
Yeah, but C. King had double that.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about them.
Them,
That's
yeah.
what they had, yeah. Allen didn't have that many. It was kind of unusual. Somewhere I have this stat. Oh, I forgot that morning news cuts off when you try to print it all. I know better than that. But yeah, I think C. King had 13 penalties. The next series ends up with another Allen touchdown. It's Sibley on a reception, a
Right.
pass reception, where he put a pretty slick move on the defender that was out in the flat trying to tackle him.
Oops.
And he just didn't let it happen again.
Yeah.
And you're up 21-0, and you're starting to feel really good about things now because this is what you had hoped to see last week, or at least something
Right.
something
Offense
similar.
start to click,
Yep.
defense step up and get the stops, and
Yep. And then on the next series, the C. King quarterback threw an interception to Aiden Graham,
yeah.
who returned it, down to the, I guess he went down to like the 12 or 13 yard line.
And I think didn't that one get called back?
The interception.
I think so. That one
No.
because you sure?
Yeah, not the
Okay.
one.
Oh, Aiden Graham. Yeah, number
Yeah,
10.
Aiden Graham.
Yeah. He just had about a 10-yard return on that,
Yeah.
but it set up another score.
Yes, and I'm losing my mind here, which is okay.
Let me guess. It was
Yeah.
Kavion Sibley.
Well, it was actually they did not score on that series because they got penalties. They got second and goal because they had first and goal to 10. Sibley lost 5,
Okay.
and then they had a 15-yard penalty. I can't remember who that was on or what it was for. Somebody was naughty. Let's just say. And then Hawkins passed to Sibley to the 23, and I don't remember what happened there as to what happened. But anyhow, King got the ball back. They ended up punting, and then it was Mr. Sibley went 78 yards on the first play, and that again.
Oh yeah, that's where we were deep in our territory,
Yeah,
and
22.
boom, yeah.
And he went right up the gut, and he makes a slight move, and it's the slightest move to his right.
Yeah,
And
it
then
leaves
just
the
outruns
guy
everybody.
standing in the dust.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, it's now 35-0 in the second quarter, and you're like, okay, I'm going back to the whole week. It's been, what's this team going to be? They're playing another very good team.
Mhm.
How is this happening? You know, what's going on here? You know,
Yeah.
Chris Cubnock texted me and goes, how's the team look this week? I said, well, it's 35-0. He was like, what? He couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
And then his next question was, how's the student section? I was
Awesome.
like,
off the chain.
2 weeks in a row,
Off
baby.
the charts.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Love
that's
those
just a
guys.
continuation from last
Yeah.
year.
Doing all the chants, and
Yeah.
then we got a light show.
And what
You
was-
can insert the light show here?
What was really hilarious about last week's game when it was just pouring down rain
Yep.
and we were down so much, they're still going, I believe that we will win. I believe that.
That
And
was
they're just
pretty
going
funny.
off chart, you know?
You know, and we gave him kudos last week for not leaving when it rained. I mean, there was a couple of us that stayed and just sat through it, but to see all those students just stay there and just have, it was awesome.
Have a blast.
Yeah, they just did it well.
Well, and another note on that, thank goodness there wasn't lightning associated with that storm,
Yes.
because
Yeah, it could have been a
that would have
long
been a
night.
pain.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So 35-0 at halftime. For all intents and purposes, game over.
Put it
Because
another
King's
way.
not a team that's going to be able to score 35.
Yeah. And as one
Against
coaching
Allen.
mind had said against, what was it, Round Rock Westwood, was it Rush? Yeah, Westwood. Yeah, if Allen can score 35 in the first half, then
Yeah.
That was the Woodlands.
the
game.
Woodlands,
Yeah.
there you go,
Woodlands game.
there you go.
Yeah.
Nothing stopping the Woodlands from coming back. Well,
Yeah.
no.
There's something called the defense out there that's doing it. So that's when we talked about when the second half started. Oh, stop, timeout.
That's not good.
We have flickering lights here. I just want to make sure everything's still
Flicker.
working, given our technical issues from yesterday. Goodness gracious, wind must be blowing pretty hard, knocking power lines.
I would imagine.
The band finally got to play.
Yay.
Oh, guess what? I just got a severe thunderstorm warning on my phone.
Oh my gosh, day late and $1 short. Give me a break.
That's fine. So the band gets to play. And, you know, last week they were kind of rained out.
Yeah.
And so, happy for them.
Yeah.
Smaller numbers this year.
650.
650 is what they say. So, well, they always go over 100, 650. Well, why don't you just give a number? But anyhow. But they did get to play. They did their show. All the band parents were happy. So, congrats to them. Looking forward to seeing what their show is this year. In a couple weeks. It'll take them a while to get that down and ready for us. But they did get to play. Back to football. Allen kicks off on the second half. This is where King completed a 73-yard pass, and Taylor Collins tracked the guy down at the 2-yard line.
Right.
And they fumbled on the next play. Zena recovers. So they get it at the 5-yard line. They have a 1-yard rush. They have a -1 yard pass to Devon, which was the last time we saw our favorite play in the
Bubble
world.
screen.
Yep, and well, you know, the audio on the clip that we're going to insert in there says it all. Cody was very
Did you
vocal.
get all that?
Oh, he screamed it. Absolutely.
I know he screamed it. I just didn't hear you.
Well, it'll be on the clip.
Oh my Lord!
Just gotta let it roll.
He
Code Man was on fire.
he had a moment. And then Hawkins.
Yes.
Man, sometimes I just
Brain
lose
fart.
my mind. Sometimes I
love
lose
it.
my mind.
I love it, man. Oh, my head hurts.
Rushes and gets a first down to the 16. On the next play, Kavion Sibley gets the ball, 84 yards.
Yeah. To the house.
Breaks a couple tackles along the way, and his
Yeah.
night is done.
Where you thought for sure that he was going to get tackled, and he came right out of it.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Kept the legs moving.
That was TD number 4, right?
that was.
Yeah.
And he ends up with 229 yards, 10 carries, 3 touchdowns on the ground, 1 touchdown receiving.
That's almost like 22 yards a carry.
Yeah, no? Pretty good math there, James. But what
Almost.
a night for the kid.
I'm good at ciphering.
You know, because we talked
Yeah.
yesterday a little more in depth how he was, I'm not going to say stuck on the depth chart, but he was on the depth chart number 3 last year because you had Jalen Jenkins, you had Devin Turner,
Yep.
who's transferred to California, and then you had him, and all 3 of them were very talented.
Yeah.
You know, and even when Jalen went down, Kavion got a lot of more playing time
Yep.
when Jenkins got hurt.
But it clearly it is his time,
It is.
and he's shining. So
It
good
was-
job, son.
It was fantastic.
Young
And so
man.
the BEBC player of the game is
Kavion Sibley.
Kavion Sibley, number 2.
Number 2.
And after that was it for the starters, pretty much.
Yeah, heavy rotation
Yep.
as you know, as always. It seems like all Texas coaches end up doing that type of thing.
Yep, they do, and it gets to be 42-0. King has a couple late touchdowns, and Allen actually scores another touchdown, and Dylan Chapman comes in at quarterback and throws a great pass.
Yeah, it was awesome. Against his body.
Yeah, one of the prettiest passes we've seen.
Is it number 89?
Donnell G or Gee? Which
Gee.
one? Gee?
I don't know. I say Gee, but
It's probably Gee.
let us know,
Donnell.
Mom and Dad. You know,
If somebody knows the guy is a Gee or G, but either way, it was to Donnell, number
it
89.
was beautiful, great effort.
Quarter of the end zone,
Happy.
over the defender, and like you said, against his body, he rolled left and just put it out there. So that was good to see as well. Final ends up being 49-14. Again, no turnovers for the Eagles. Pretty balanced. You know, they didn't throw that much. They only threw 16 times. You know, had 10 completions, 142. Look at that. Is that coming or going?
It's about to hit us.
Oh, good Lord.
even
thought we just
even
had
more.
This is round 2.
Was that,
This
that was
is-
the appetizer we just
Yeah.
went through?
Yeah, that was the appetizer, and
For
this
you folks
this
in,
this is
folks
the
in
real
Allen,
deal. Right
if you're not getting this right now, you know, the Far East out here in Lucas, we're getting hammered pretty good. So.
Allen's going to
They're
be
getting
getting
their
some.
fair
Of
share
They're
of it?
if they haven't gotten it, they're going to get it.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty good. So
hope everybody made it through okay
Yeah.
by the time you see
it's
this.
hard to complain about rain given what
Yeah.
we've been through, and it's a weekend, and you know, tomorrow's another day. Everybody's got a holiday. So next week, the Eagles get to take a little trip over to Arlington.
Choctaw Stadium.
7 o'clock Friday night. Arlington Martin.
Have we confirmed that we're visitors on this?
I'm assuming we are. To me,
I would think so.
Seems it's a home game for
But
them.
if we're visitors, we're going to be on the good side of the spectator area
Yeah, let's hope.
because they've got some temporary or permanently temporary stands that are a little bit more traditional football stands on the visitor side.
I hope so,
I hope so.
because it was icky sitting on the other side.
Every time
That's
we've
right.
sat
And the
before-
band sits more towards the end
Yeah.
zone area, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So they won't be where all those temporaries are,
Yeah.
so to speak. We did not mention this, but when we talked to Coach yesterday, Coach Wager's one of his good friends, and he mentioned, he said, yeah, Coach Wager used to tell me all the time before I got to Allen, he goes, I just want to beat Allen.
I want to beat them so bad.
So
Okay.
I was like, well, Now you get another chance, and it's
Yeah.
against your good buddy. I said, well, we told Coach not to let that happen, but that game will be interesting. Martin's 2-0. They beat Lake Travis, which I'm
They
beginning
didn't
to,
have their quarterback.
Yeah, I'm beginning to wonder about Lake Travis because they've now lost 2 games in a row. They lost to Martin, and they lost last Friday to Cibolo Steel.
I think to a member, at least in our group, we have a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Wager. He pulls out all stops.
Yep.
He will do all sorts of special plays, fake field goals, onside kicks, all sorts of stuff. So don't look away. Don't talk to your neighbor.
Yeah.
Don't leave after the band finishes playing. Stick around. It's going to be exciting. Hopefully the kids are up for it, and I know the coaches are preparing.
Well, obviously they're going to prepare for 7 rushing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll prepare for that.
Well, and Martin, they beat the Bejeebers out of
Snot.
Cedar Hill, and I'm that's another team I think is really on the decline.
Yeah.
They were ranked, but I'm not. Dallas Morning News
I
like
think
number
that was
16.
a sentimental
It's,
thing.
it's beginning of the year. Let's see if they've improved from last year.
You've got Skyline has been declining for years, and they got
Skyline
10
is
to
falling
9 or
off
something like that.
the
Yeah.
radar.
You got Cedar Hill and DeSoto, which are being pulled to Duncanville.
Yeah.
They're good players.
So it's I'm not saying Arlington Martin is not good. They've got a great DB, a 4-star guy. His name just escaped me.
And the running back is formidable.
Yeah, and that's, but that makes me feel better too because this to me is another team that doesn't throw the ball very exceptionally well.
Prolifically. Yeah.
And again, after what we just saw with stopping the run this week, I feel pretty good about the defense and what they can do. The question is, they're going up against a secondary who's got this 4-star and 3 other guys that have played together since they were freshmen. They're all seniors.
Yep.
They're very disciplined. They're very good.
And for our side, outside of the two blown coverages that we had, where the corners are sneaking up to try and cover the run, and they end up getting burned because the quarterback tosses it, and of course their man is further downfield, and the safety doesn't quite make it over one way or the other. I'm sure they'll work on cleaning that up, whether it's a discipline issue or whether it's just a setup issue, with the safety kind of knowing which side to go. If the quarterback's rolling one direction, you need to cover that guy because the corner's going to come up and try and stop the run.
Hands down, though, the effort from the first week and second week
my
was
gosh,
just
yeah.
unbelievable. I can only imagine that they're going to clean that up. And
Well, and as we said,
Yeah.
they were trying really hard that first week. It just sometimes things go against you. It's like with me playing poker last night. I was up and I ended up losing. So
that's
it
what happens.
It
But
happens.
Martin, they've been a good team every year.
Yeah.
And we've met them in the playoffs a number of times.
Yeah,
And they've been close games.
high
for the most
scoring
part.
games.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, 60 something to 50 something.
69-54.
Yeah.
And up at North Texas, Apogee. Yeah.
Remember well. But yeah,
And how did we do? Remind me. We played them in the playoffs at South Lake one year.
At South Lake?
Yeah. In
I don't
South Lake
recall that.
Stadium. Or am I thinking about them playing another team? I'm pretty
I
sure we
don't
played them.
remember
Oh, I
playing them
remember.
at South Lake. I don't remember playing at South Lake other than just South Lake.
I remember we went.
Never mind.
We went and watched.
I could have swore we did, but
We
hey,
went and
whatever.
watched. Was it DeSoto play somebody at South Lake in the playoffs?
Yes. We did go to South
Oh,
Lake.
Trinity. No, Trinity played somebody at South Lake.
I don't remember.
It was Trinity. Because I remember time ran out on them.
Our 5 viewers don't want to watch us try and have senior moments.
Time ran out on them. If you remember correctly,
Yeah.
they didn't call timeout.
Well, there were a lot of field goals, a lot of defensive, efforts. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be another, again, like we said, all the podcasts we've done related to this year, this is an SEC high school schedule they're playing.
Tough.
There's not going to be too many.
Even the new teams are going to be a tough game.
yeah, and enjoy the ride because everybody's playing, at a big level. And when they play Allen, you're always going to get their best. They're going to. Everybody wants to beat Allen. That's just the bottom line to it.
Yeah.
And Wager's got a thorn in his
got
butt
a
for years.
heavy duty itch that
Yeah.
he wants to scratch.
He wants to scratch, and he may think he has a team to do it this year. So Friday night, 7:00, that'll be fun. Our first away game. Choctaw, not,
And I don't know,
not Globe Life.
bring
You're
your
gonna have
money.
to search a little bit. Yeah,
Choctaw.
search a little bit. Buy your tickets online. Don't
Yep.
Bring your
wait
money.
till you're there.
Yeah, bring your money because it ain't gonna be free, and there ain't no free parking over there either. So
Nope.
just keep that in mind. Couple other housekeeping items.
Yes.
I do believe we need to address, or we should address. We talked yesterday a little bit about tailgating, and I wanted to bring this back up because I thought that was a good discussion we had yesterday about how to build community. Because a lot of people ask us, how do you know so many people, and how do you know so much? And you give us credit for more than we do know, but one of the ways that we do that is by our tailgate, and not everybody can do it, and we understand that. But if you're wanting to really get involved in the community and learn about, what goes on up there at the school, and but meet people, develop more community, involvement, I encourage you to set up your tailgate. Because, for example, Friday when we tailgated, I went back through the list. We had, 2 school board members come by.
Mm-hmm.
We had the information director for the school came by, the chief information director. We had Mike Hawkins, Mike Hawkins,
Right.
not
Dad.
not quarterback,
Father,
Dad.
former NFL,
Yeah.
player and
Which-
extraordinaire.
And just sitting there listening and picking his brain for about 15 minutes
Yeah.
was great because you learn a lot about what goes on behind the scenes that you don't know that he's doing for the kids.
Right. And there's a bunch of kids, Christian Sam and
Yeah.
Jalen Jones, that he's been trying to mentor them and,
Yeah.
and help them through whatever they're trying to work on, and that's community.
Yeah, it is.
Love it.
And then, Katie Lassiter and her husband Greg came and stopped, and they went and got food from Allen Eagle Nation, which support that. Great.
Yeah.
Well, they brought back, Coach Holt's wife. They brought back Caleb Dunlap's mother.
That was awesome.
And another, and I apologize because I've forgotten at this point, but there was another, team mom that came, and, they all sat
Senior
in
mom,
there. Yeah,
I think,
senior,
yeah.
they were all senior moms.
Yep.
And so you just continuously meet
Right.
people.
Well, and here's the other thing. So they came by and we talked about the team march out.
Yep.
So from the field house, they'll march out and they come out on the parking lot side now.
Mm-hmm.
And so the senior moms were over there and cheering on the kids and the players, and they encouraged us to go over there, and so we would encourage all the other fans to go over there and show these kids some encouragement.
Yep.
Cheer for them.
If you've got
Cut a
lit-
pool noodle in half and,
Yeah.
and bop them on the head with it.
if
you
you've
know,
got
whatever.
little kids and they've got
aspirations,
yeah, or these kids are their idols, this is a great chance to
Absolutely. Bring
get
them
over
out.
there and high-five
get up
them.
close and personal. Yeah.
Well, that-
before and after the game.
we got all sorts of room next to our tailgate
Yep.
that people can set up tents or just
That's
bring your
right.
chairs and sit in with us.
Yep.
I mean,
Like I said, the circle can always
Yeah.
get bigger.
the football players come walking
Yeah.
through our tents at what 3:30, 4.
Yeah.
We give them a Gatorade. We get to
Chat
know
it
them.
up a
We
little
talk
bit.
to them for
Yeah.
a minute.
Yep.
Encourage them.
Not a better way to learn about the kids than that, really.
Yeah. And it's the access is there.
Yeah.
We had 2 coaches come by yesterday and spent some time with us.
2
And-
times.
Yeah,
Twice.
a couple times. Coming and going, they stopped by. You just learn a lot when you just sit and listen and you just be friendly. To
Well,
people, so-
and they listen too, because
Yeah.
we mentioned to them that, hey, don't stay inside. Get the coaches out here and
come say hello.
talk to people, you
Yeah.
know, and that's what really excites people is seeing that you're supporting the fans as well, which is important.
Yep, it goes both ways. It is a 2-way street. So yeah, I encourage you, if you can, come out early. Bring some food, bring some takeout, and come sit down and talk to us, or just come out on your own. Bring your lawn chairs and just set up. You will meet people, I promise you. And it's a really great way to learn, all about the people that you're surrounded by every Friday night.
And that'll be a week from Friday. It'll be McKinney, our McKinney Boyd, our first district game.
Yeah.
So, bring them on.
Bring them on. We're ready for that.
Get it on.
The other thing I wanted to mention, and this was a personal note, and I said this yesterday, and these guys are well aware of it, and several of you will be at this too, but I just wanted to say it again, because it's, we don't put ourselves out here with everything going on in our lives all the time.
Yep.
Usually it's got to be
Keep privacy private
something
sometimes.
significant. Yeah. And in fact, we have a significant announcement from one of our guys we didn't hear that he needs to make, and he hadn't made it yet.
Well, we'll give him an opportunity.
We will, and I forgot yesterday. But last Sunday morning, so a week from today, my sweet little wife had a stroke, and it was as strokes go, it was mild, but there's nothing not serious about a stroke.
Yeah.
And at her age, being as young as she was, there was a lot of concern about, okay, what caused this? They have found the cause, which was good to know. And so the doctors are well aware of that. And her issue is she has what they call expressive aphasia, which means she has all the thoughts in her head. She can understand everything that's going on. She's just having a problem getting the words out. And she's going to start speech therapy in a week. Very intensive, 5 days a week, 3 hours a day to get her back to normal. She's going to be out of work for a while. Obviously, as an elementary school librarian, that's not going to be, can't do it in her current condition. Yeah. But thoughts and prayers are encouraged. We're doing okay. It's life comes at you fast.
Right. But we believe in prayer.
Yes.
We believe in the power of prayer. So please, if you're a praying person and you are sympathetic to that, prayers are always welcome.
Her name is Sherry, and
add it to your prayer list.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart.
She's got a lot of work in front of her, but she's ready to go. She's already mad that her therapy couldn't start this week. The doctors aren't letting her drive right now, which she thinks she can drive, and so she's not a sit down. She's a go getter, and so she's ready to get back to normal. The blessing from all of it is outside of this speech issue, she has no other physical problems. She's not paralyzed. She doesn't have any other issues related to it. So that was a blessing.
That's extremely encouraging.
It's a scary moment when your wife's talking to you, and we call it word salad comes out, because it's like, what is going on with you? So makes me empathize with those who go through that with and again, mostly elderly parents or people have this, and so it was really strange because I didn't know what was going on at first, and didn't know kind of how to deal with it. So, but we got through it. And appreciate you guys and all you did this week, helping us through this crazy time, man. Crazy time. So anyhow, that's enough of that. But just wanted to make everybody aware of that.
And again, we had a visit from John Bell.
Yep. His son Tim and John came by again. It's always good to see John. He's such a passionate
Thank you, Tim,
fan.
for bringing him by. He is.
Yeah,
and
he loves his Eagles, man. And
he does.
Yeah, he does.
He's getting to come to some games, which last year, the year before that, because of COVID, he really didn't get to. So we're happy for John and the fact that he's being able to do that. And we're happy they got you a win this week, buddy.
Yeah, a nice, convincing win. Yeah.
You didn't have to stay the whole game to see that. You knew that was coming by halftime. But we were glad to see John too as well. So
he was there the whole game though.
Yeah, was he? Did he stay the whole game?
It was the whole game.
Did.
Perfect. That's good to know. That's good to know. So, well, the thunderstorm has kind of blown through, which means we're done.
And we survived.
We survived.
I don't know if my garage door ever got closed, but we'll see. I may go home to a sopping wet garage.
You might. It could happen. Could happen. So, anyhow, folks, we apologize for the technical difficulties, and we'll do our best to avoid that again. We kind of know what caused it, and we'll do better on our part. So, see you Friday night over at Arlington, Choctaw Stadium, 7 o'clock, Arlington Martin. So, until next time, it's over, and we are out.